When a rock climber lunges for a tiny ledge, the physical response feels immediate. There's a decision to move, and the hand simply obeys, locking onto the stone with incredible force. That grip is driven by skeletal muscle, a tissue that makes up roughly 40% of your entire body weight. We usually think of these muscles in terms of basic locomotion, but they're also generating your body heat and keeping your skeletal joints stable under immense pressure. Muscle is soft biological tissue. Generating the raw tension required to hoist a heavy skeleton against gravity requires a complex distribution of force that prevents these fibers from simply snapping under the strain. This durability emerges from a highly organized structural hierarchy hidden deep within the fibers. Let's start from the outside. If you look at a whole skeletal muscle, you see a singular mass of tissue anchoring firmly to the bone, but it's not a solid block of meat. Cutting across the muscle reveals it's composed of tightly packed cylindrical bundles called fascicles. This animated diagram shows exactly how those bundles are organized. As we peel away the outer sheath, you can see the internal fascicles. Notice how each layer is wrapped in its own distinct coating of tough connective tissue. This creates a cables within cables architecture. Wrapping the tissue in nested layers distributes the physical stress of a heavy lift so the muscle doesn't tear, while also creating safe pathways for blood vessels and nerves to reach deep inside the tissue. The raw lifting strength you experience at the gym relies completely on this compartmentalized, heavily wrapped internal structure. If we pull just one microscopic thread out of those fascicle bundles, we arrive at the cellular level, a single muscle fiber. Unlike most cells in the human body, a muscle fiber is massive. It's a long, cylindrical cell that formed from dozens of smaller cells fusing together, meaning it actually contains multiple nuclei pushed to its outer edge. Packed inside this giant cell are thousands of dense, rod-like structures called myofibrils, running parallel from one end of the fiber to the other. This 3D model of a muscle fiber reveals a crucial support system. Peeling back the outer membrane exposes a web-like network called the sarcoplasmic reticulum. It wraps tightly around the inner rods, acting as a vault exclusively designed to store calcium ions. Even when completely still, this resting cell acts as a loaded biological spring. It sits primed with calcium, waiting for a specific trigger. That trigger arrives via a motor neuron, which connects the nervous system directly to the surface of the muscle fiber. When you decide to move, your brain sends a rapid electrical impulse, an action potential, racing down that nerve toward the muscle. But electricity can't jaunt the sisal gap between the two cells. Instead, the nerve releases a burst of chemical messengers called acetylcholine, which rapidly cross the glowing synaptic gap. The moment those chemicals bind to the muscle's outer membrane, they ignite a brand new electrical signal that dives deep into the cell's interior through specialized tunnels. As this voltage travels downward, it shocks the sarcoplasmic reticulum. The vault doors open, and stored calcium floods the cell. To turn a muscle on, the nervous system translates an electrical thought into a chemical flood. We're down to the sarcomere. Parallel thick and thin protein filaments sit relaxed. Calcium binds the thin filaments, causing a rotation that reveals hidden sites. Instantly, thick filament heads spring up, locking into these sites. During the power stroke, they pivot, dragging thin filaments inward. The finished movement is the result of millions of these microscopic protein filaments sliding past one another in perfect, rapid synchronization. To stop the contraction and relax the muscle, the cell has to actively pump all that calcium back into the internal vault. This cleanup process requires ATP, the body's cellular energy molecule. ATP powers the calcium pumps and provides the mechanical energy for the thick filaments to detach from the thin ones so the system can reset. If a muscle cell completely runs out of ATP, the entire system breaks down. Without new energy to release the grip, the thick and thin filaments remain permanently locked together. This permanent biological lock is the exact cellular mechanism that causes rigor mortis, the stiffness that overtakes a body after death. As long as you are alive, breathing, and metabolizing nutrients, your body constantly regenerates a fresh supply of ATP, allowing your muscles to smoothly contract and release over and over again. We operate as highly efficient biological engines. Every step, Every heavy lift and every dynamic reach on a rock wall is ultimately powered by a fragile, continuous cycle of microscopic chemical fuel.